Hi guys, today I want to show you a quick idea in Reaktor, and to do so I have this small melody right here. You can see that it's a melody by the fact that it has different notes, and the sound in the dry version sounds like this, which is not, I like it, but it's not incredibly interesting, but it's more about the approach here. We can also add tons of reverb to this, and then it will sound like this. But the idea here is to just take an ensemble. In my case, I took Polyplex and then route that through a comb filter. And mainly what I want to show is that in Reaktor we can combine both more full traditional instruments and ensembles with some of the other like new modern fancy stuff like the blocks, etc. So what I did here is I have my Polyplex synth, which is this one, and most people will have this one. What this is it can play different sample layers. What I can do, just to show you what this instrument does by itself, is if I mute this for a second. Right now we're only hearing Polyplex going through the mix, and if I play some notes, we just get different unpitched samples. And here we can switch between some different settings. So those are basically just kick drums with some specialness on top here, where we can set 4 layers of samples, and then we can set different samples for each. You can also just enable 1. So basically you choose a sample with that, and you can set the pitch, you can set the volume, and then you can combine different layers. Fairly intuitive instrument. And it's very nice for kick drums. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to use these kick drums and add a pitch to that. And for that, if you've seen any of my videos, I talk a lot about comb filters, and it's because they're great at adding pitch. So what I'm doing is I'm routing the output of this Polyplex into my comb filter, to the input. We only need to take 1 channel there. That goes into a mixer, and then the mixer goes into 2 VCAs, which are connected by an envelope. And then we have 2 more things, which is the note in module and the oscillator, Monarch oscillator, and this is to get some extra FM options. So right now when a pitch comes in, it will listen to the pitch and send that to the pitch of the comb filter, and it will also send that pitch to the pitch of this oscillator. And then the gate message, which is when the note is being triggered, is being sent to the gate on the envelope, just so that we can actually control an envelope. If we don't have this part, we're going to get a continuous sound. So now we can control it a little bit better with our envelope right here. So then what I'm doing is, as you can see on this comb filter, let's first initialize it a little bit. So I'll set all of this down, dampening down. So the main thing here is the frequency. And right now we don't hear much change there, and that's because for a comb filter to work, you want to add some extra feedback in as well. So let's dial that up a little bit, and we start to hear that typical metallic comb filter sound. So then, because we have the note, the pitch module set to the pitch of the comb filter, we can actually use this little slider here, and then the frequency knob, it will follow the notes that I'm playing. So because of that, we can get different tones. And then lastly, this FM is just the amount of frequency modulation, in this case from oscillator 1 going to, it's going to very fast modulate the frequency here. So we can have a lot of different sounds with that. If we, let's dial this FM up. We set some different octaves. And this is why I want to show you this. Is not necessarily because of the melodic sound, but just the wild variations of sounds we can get here. So one thing that's pretty nice with this, if we set this oscillator in a very low range, we're going to actually hear the frequency modulation. Let's give it a longer decay as well. Can you hear that? Just sort of the pitch going back and forth. We can now speed that up or slow that down using this frequency knob right here, or we can set a very subtle FM amount, in which case it's going to sound more like vibrato, especially if we choose a more smooth waveform. And we could also layer the original kick drum back in. And we can, of course, choose some different sounds here for a kick. Let's mute the dry sound. So I like this one. We can play the melody and then mess around a little bit with the samples. So as you can hear, this damp is just a filter that's being applied to the feedback pad. So if we increase that, the sound gets a little bit duller. All right, so that was just what I wanted to show you. I wanted to mess around there a little bit. I know this can be boring, but just to show you that there's a lot of different sounds we can get from this. And then after you have this all set up, you can just take your Polyplex and you can replace it with something else. You can even replace it with something like Razor. You just drag it in here. You can, no, actually you cannot do that. We have to load it via here. But when you do that, you can change out the sound source. You still have all your whole system in place there, and yeah, it's just a nice playground for experimentation. So I hope you find that useful. If you do so, please do the like and the subscribe and all these things that we're supposed to do when we watch a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Are you looking for production guidance and direct feedback on your tracks? Do you want one-on-one help with a mix, music theory, production, or creative workflow? Then book a one-on-one mentorship session today with one of our knowledgeable industry professionals at Pyramind.com.